I would love to know what your vision of job loss and AI is and what it is not.
I've actually thought about this a decent amount. So I believe that there is pressure by boards of directors to produce a financial gain in the name of this productivity thing. Productivity gains are available to those who embrace AI. So you can stay where you were and work less, or you can keep your people and go way higher, serve way more, be way more amplified with your signal. I believe that we can just be in places where we couldn't be before. We can scale our impact. The game that we're playing is how do we give more, do more, be more with this massive amount of leverage that we have.
Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. My name is Sarah Grace. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs and innovators who refuse to settle. Here we dive deep into raw, real conversations with boundary pushers who have pursued seemingly impossible ideas and yet have achieved unreasonable results, whether that's in their faith, relationships, health, politics, yes, even business. All of those conversations are happening right here, right now. So let's buckle up because this isn't about playing it safe. Unreasonable ideas, unstoppable results. Let's go.
Hey everybody, for the first time ever, we have a repeat guest. So we've got to listen up, right? We have the amazing James Curran back on the podcast. James Curran is the founder of Funnel Pulse, an application performance monitoring platform built specifically for sales funnels and operates a dedicated funnel building agency. A builder at the intersection of software and strategy, he architects systems that give founders visibility into where their apps and funnels bleed leads and revenue. He's currently developing an autonomous software development organization staffed entirely by AI agents, treating his own company as a proving ground for what it means to build with human judgment at the center. He brings a principle-first approach to both technology and the business models built on top of it. You are going to love this conversation with James Curran, all about AI. Huge value awaits. Let's get talking. All right. You guys, welcome back. We have a return guest, really for the very first time on Unreasonable Autonomy. Yes, James. If you guys are watching on YouTube, he's like, really? Yes, the amazing James Curran is back on the podcast for a very specific reason. So the two-sentence introduction here is James is an over-deliverer, right? And if you were to ever say, this is someone who has simply focused on one word, and that is helping, and also has been able to make a bunch of money on the side, that is the definition of who you are. You lead by helping. And so this conversation is going to be all about AI. Shocker, you guys. Shocker. But don't turn off the interview because this is going to be a whole brand new conversation on how to think about AI, how to approach AI, and where like developers fit into that and where like funnels build into that and all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't think of anyone better once I heard your interview on ClickFunnels Radio than you to come in and blow the top off of AI. So welcome to the amazing James Curran. I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be the first repeat guest. And we're in a really interesting moment in time and I'm grateful to be a part of it. Yeah.
Well, and I would dare say, I am so glad that you are a part of it because I know who you are at your core. I've hung out with you in Mexico. I have met you on a number of occasions. We've gone back and forth in DMs on different things and different ideas. And I can't think of anyone really, truly, and I don't say this lightly, that I would trust more to help my audience really approach AI from a place of integrity and creativity, and also recognize it is a tool to help us get our businesses and our messages out there. So are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Today in particular feels like a moment where like it is a lot. It is a lot. There's this giant wave, and it is amorphous. It is like hard to wrap your head around, your mind around. And sometimes for me, even it's like, oh man, like, what are we doing? What can we do? What should we be doing? So I'm super into having this conversation and excited where it's going to go.
Yeah. And if for those of you who don't know James, you really need to go back and listen to the other episodes so you can understand his history. You know, he's been a developer, he understands coding, like he brings a really unique skill set to the table. And I want to really start with that. I would imagine one of the biggest headlines right now with AI is all about how Amazon is cutting 8,000 jobs by the end of the week. And like, this is what Google is doing and replacing, and like which jobs will exist in a year with AI. And that's really the message. And I want to know, I have my own opinion about what those messages are, but I would love to know what your vision of job loss and AI is and what it is not.
I've actually thought about this a decent amount. We can go really deep with this. So I believe that there is pressure by boards of directors to produce a financial gain in the name of this productivity thing. And they're using AI as a bit of a scapegoat to say like, because, or they're expected to, because of the perceived productivity gains, you should be able to cut a bunch of overhead, right? And I am not a CEO. I'm not on the board of directors of any company. So maybe that is a real thing. But for me, it's like, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather do the opposite. I'd rather empower. You can, in my mind, you can either, because it's true, productivity gains are available to those who embrace AI. So you can stay where you were and work less, and like you're capped, you're done. Like you can hire less people, whatever, and you might be good with that. Or you can keep your people and go way higher. Serve way more, be way more amplified with your signal, be much more like it requires a bit of imagination and belief and hope and optimism. But I believe that we can just be in places where we couldn't be before. We can say things we couldn't say before. We can multiply our message. We can scale our impact. And it's not like free. It's hard. The bigger a program gets, the more features it has, the more bugs it has. Like, it's not easy. It's not like a magic button, but I do believe that is the game that we're playing, is how do we give more, do more, be more with this massive amount of leverage that we have, and try to stay sane along the process. And you know, there's just so much uncertainty right now about what the future is going to be. And I'm of the opinion where you just, okay, we know we're here. We know we can be here. Let's teach everybody how to do more, be more, and deliver more.
I love this. And this is exactly why you are here, because you are saying, yes, you can use AI and work less and possibly maintain what you have done. Or a new way to think about it is you can actually be where you are and you can achieve so much more if you actually know how to plug it in. Am I getting that correctly?
Yes, that is true. And there's a danger there too, because we also have, you know, when's it going to be enough is a question that might come as a result of that lens. And I'm not naive to that. I'm not ignorant to the fact of like, okay, when can we take a break? You know? And I think that's when your morals and your principles and your values and your priorities and all that kind of stuff you have to filter your decisions through that matrix in order to answer that question.
So because AI seems to be evolving so rapidly, hour by hour, I feel like every day that I log into Cloud, it's like, we got to update, right? Like every stinking day, sometimes twice a day, which is fine, right? But let's talk about fast forward the next 12 months. What are the groups of entrepreneurs that you perceive will succeed because of AI versus those that are really going to struggle because of AI?
It's interesting. It's really dangerous to make predictions greater than a week, I think, right now. But what the trend that I see happening is more messages and more channels. I think more marketing messages and more channels. I think that we have been constrained by our ability to authentically interact and put in marketing messages in different channels. And there is a trend right now to build brand voices and second brains in things in such a way where, whether it's a digital clone, which is an extreme, which is, some people do that where they have, digital versions of themselves that are creating videos and publishing them and all that. Or if it's just, your typical text posts and image posts and carousels and all that, there's ways to scale your message to channels that are more native in ways that don't require you to be the one to write the posts and edit the posts and deliver the posts, adds to, right? It's messages and channels. I'm agnostic to whether it's paid or organic. But I think we can be in more places with an approximation of our soul that is good enough to get someone to find out more about us. And I think that people who don't do that will. I mean, I'm trying to like hold the contrarian view. There's some people who are like, only speak with your authentic voice. Don't use AI for anything. Be totally true to it. And I think there's something to be said about that too. And I think for certain niches or offers, that could be a way to like pull out. So maybe that's it. Maybe just two extremes on a continuum. And you just don't want to be in the middle of like kind of, doing it halfway.
Yeah, I think you're really onto something. And it's almost like you're either the person that's living in, pure luxury in Dubai, or you're the homesteader, right? It's like it seems to be there's kind of two extremes. And where people really, really struggle is when they actually just kind of waver and they haven't picked a direction that makes sense for what they feel called to do and called to serve. So let me push you on that a little bit, that it's sort of those of us that are in the middle, that are wavering, that are not sure, that may really struggle over the next week and possibly the next year with the clear AI revolution that's happening. So let me ask you, do you have a case study or even your own where you could show us a little bit more deeply what it looks like for a current business that has succeeded under the funnel model, right? And has been online and had some success. How can that business take some early steps right now in order to get their messages in more places, on more channels, like fill in the gaps for us on tactically what that actually looks like?
Well, one simple way is to, we've heard the drumbeat of omnipresence from Grant Cardone and many others, right? And the ability to take an idea, a blog post or something, and then sort of publish it into different packages, different mediums, is something that can be done right now. You can take a blog post and say, can you make this into one of those tweet things where it's kind of like a bunch of little tiny things, and it'll do that for you, and it'll make it so you can publish to that channel in a format that's native to that channel and makes sense. So that's like a dipping your toes in the water kind of thing. One thing that I'm doing a lot right now, which I think is really cool and powerful, is to, because we know that like we were constrained by the amount of versions of a funnel that we could put out. There's this future in which a funnel landing page is dynamic and tailored to the person that comes to it through some magical mechanism. And I feel like that's coming, but I'm going to hand wave and say, like, before that, we can today make 10 versions of a landing page, and they can be generated by AI. And they can be individual like pages in ClickFunnels. It's like not like voodoo magic or anything. They're just 10 static versions of the page, but they're all different traffic temperatures. They're different, there are continuations of conversations that happened in an ad. So that specific angle, a specific pain point that came from an ad can also be, we can have a nice handoff on the landing page, and you can have a lot of those, and it doesn't cost you the funnel builder's time or your own time to the degree that it did before, which allows you to multiply those variants.
It's incredible. And you come from a unique angle because you do speak computer. You do speak code. You do speak the back end there. And so someone like me, who is a lay person, who has figured out some elements of AI that have sped up my processes or gotten me more places or taken care of my customers better, one of the biggest fears is I don't understand the full journey of AI and how it plugs into my business, other than those very elementary stages. And I imagine most of my listeners are in that realm where they're like, feel like they're popping between Claude and Claude Code and Manus, and I'm copying and pasting from Whisperflow, and that there's all of these different components. Is there a strategy that you would recommend that a layperson like me would look at to just say, here's actually my workflow with AI, and this maximizes what is currently available now? How would we know that?
Well, I'd submit to you, if you are someone who is using Claude Code, then you are not exactly a layperson. You're kind of in it. You're more advanced than you might think. There's a popular graphic that's going around right now. I don't know if it's true or not, but it looks like back in the 90s, we used to have hard disk drives with spinning wheels on them, and we would have to defragment them. We'd have to like move all these files in such a way that they were continuously readable. It looks like that. We're like, it's a bunch of squares. It's like 100 squares, and it's like, 96 of them are gray, and like, I don't know, 3 of them are yellow and 1 of them is green or something like that. And it's like the percentage of the population that has ever done anything with AI is like basically, most people haven't. And then like some people have had a chat experience, and some people have done something with like like very few people have done anything with Claude Code is what it comes down to actually use an agent that has access to your file system to do things. So that's that. However, there are ways in which you're not so disjointed. We're not like copying and pasting things from one to the next. One way that I like to do it is to have what people are calling, some people call it chief of staff or executive assistant. You have sort of like a main thing that you're talking to. Like it's like a single voice. I just got into this recently. Actually, a week ago, last Tuesday, I installed Hermes Agent, which is sort of like an evolution of this concept that was popularized by something called OpenClaw, which these names are weird, and that's just how they are. But essentially, I, via Telegram, grabbed my phone and talked to Holly. Her name is Holly. She is my executive assistant. And I ask her things. I use Whisperflow, which is the mechanism that I can speak something and it uses text, and it's really well done. It's more high quality than the platform native version. So like, your Mac or your Windows computer or whatever, they'll have the ability to you tap a microphone, it'll turn it into words. This thing's better, and it has its own dictionary and it'll bullet point things. So it's really super awesome for that. So I'll say something to her like, can we do this? How do we do that? Da, 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 da. And it is connected to a lot of other things, meaning it's connected to ClickUp, my task management system. It is connected to my social media posting stuff. It has arms and tentacles into a lot of things into my world. You run into trust issues, which we could talk about. But essentially, I talk to Holly. Holly has access to a whole bunch of stuff, including this wiki that includes information about me, my companies, my way of thinking, the books that I'm reading, the topics that I'm interested in. The more I put into her, she's taking information and organizing it into a wiki that's cross-referenced and connected, and builds this model of my world, or the incomplete version of it that I have given her so far. And the more that I give her, the better she is, the more context she has, and can be more valuable. So it's like into one channel, and then magic happens, and then tentacles happen, and stuff goes everywhere. And yeah, I now have it to where I have a social media manager named Brittany, and she has a team of people that go get posts, research them, write them, edit them, publish them, and make it so that I can then take them and then send them on their direction.
It's kind of mind-blowing. Go Holly.
Yeah, Holly rules.
Holly rules. Okay. One of the elements that you said is, when we're backing up a little bit, when big CEOs are starting to fire people, it is because of something called perceived productivity. What efforts with AI do you believe are at their most robust stage that they've ever been, that would really help the productivity of entrepreneurs?
Online entrepreneurs, internet nerds, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. there's something magical that's happened with the ChatGPT image model that came out a few weeks ago, where it now is able to create like YouTube thumbnails, for instance, that just crush. They just look awesome. I'm able to give it some high quality photos of me, and it's able to move my arms and put me in positions that I've never been in a really awesome way, including graphics. So that is something that it's kind of just done, it's good enough. And so this is an interesting thing. So I say that, I don't know, we can talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like for me as a non-graphic designer, a person really, when it comes to that, I think it's good enough, but a designer might be telling me it's full of crap. Because that's the thing with me in code, because I look at so much code that is generated. I'm like, this is garbage. This sucks. There's like all these problems with it. And it's only because I've experienced the bumps and bruises and cuts and scrapes of failing code for decades that I know what good code looks like. Same thing for copywriters. That's something that we've all been into for the past couple of years. Like I'm not a copywriter, so I can push a button and it looks like, yeah, it looks better than what I can do. Send it. And then a copywriter is like, yeah, but it doesn't do this, this, and this, right? So I have to admit that. But to me, it feels like those images are pretty dang good.
Amazing. So I want to do something I've never done before here on the podcast. I actually want to structure my next 3 questions for you up front.
Okay.
For the very strategic purpose. Oh my gosh, blooper reel. Here we go.
Right here with you.
For the very strategic purpose of helping online entrepreneurs succeed right now. Okay. That is the end goal.
Cool.
So the 3 questions I want to ask you is, what are efforts entrepreneurs can make right now to improve traffic and lead generation? Next question. What are the specific strategic positions entrepreneurs can take right now to improve the sales process? What are specific strategic positions entrepreneurs can take right now to improve offer and fulfillment? Are you okay to dive into those 3 things?
Yes, I'll need reminders of what they are, but I think
I will.
We can go there. Okay, cool.
I'm with you. Let's talk traffic and AI. What can we be doing?
Okay, I'll put this out as a caveat that I haven't done this myself because I'm not a paid traffic person, but I'm in Russell Brunson's inner circle, and there are people that are doing crazy things. So one of the mechanisms that allows AI to do things is this thing called MCP. You don't have to know what that means, but it lets me talk to APIs without having to know much about them. So I can give my Claude MCP access to Meta ads, and it can analyze, create ads, do all the things that it needs to do, which is really powerful right now because Meta likes a lot of variety, likes a lot of experimentation, likes a lot of looks at things, different angles, different creative. So it's a way to you can multiply and try things that would be expensive to do, time-wise, money-wise, staff-wise, and get a lot more angles out there without having to actually burn the sweat and do it yourself. Again, I've not done that, so I can't be like, yeah, I've definitely done that, and it definitely works. But I have heard that people have done it, and it does work. And I think it's a direction that we can all experiment with.
Ooh, and do you have any other? I love this so much, this MTP thing. Do you have any experience with using AI for actual lead to traffic generation? Maybe more of an organic approach.
Well, I have created lead magnets that teach about AI. Like a year or 2 ago, I created one about using Midjourney to create marketing images. I tend to be pretty authentic and manual when it comes to how I'm showing up online for the most part. Although I think it's going to change soon. I'm gonna go Dubai on you in the next couple weeks. I think. So, yeah, I think it's the same thing though. It's the vision that I see is more messages and more channels, and dialing that in and getting authentic will be the challenge, because a lot of people can see through it, and some people, especially those who are anti-AI, are gonna resist. But I mean, maybe they're not your people. I don't know. So like multiplication of different possibilities. Yeah, we'll say that, and I'll save the next thing for the next question.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So that gives us some actual tangible stuff our listeners can use in order to improve traffic generation, lead generation, both on the paid side and the organic side. So let's move into the next stage of business, which is okay, someone sees my landing page or signs up for a webinar and we want to get them to buy, right? We want to get them to buy the sales process of our business. What are things that we can be plugging in right now as online entrepreneurs using AI to improve the sales process?
Well, definitely, like I mentioned before, having multiple versions of a page, not just for conversion rate optimization when you're split testing things, but also for keeping the message cohesive from ad to landing page or from marketing message to landing page. Another thing that's helped me out a lot is sending my AI note taker into meetings and things, but really sales calls, so that I can be fully present. I'm not typing. I used to type a lot. I used to have to, and I'm a fast typer, but I'm kind of splitting, context switching, so I can be fully disengaged from the recording. I can be fully engaged in not like a hardcore sales guy, so I don't think about rebuttals and all that, but I think about, can I do this? Can I serve this person? Are we aligned? Am I catching everything that, I think about those things, and I can be authentic on the call, A, and B, all the details that I do need are captured in that artifact. And then I can interrogate it. I can ask questions. If I said that I could do something, I might need some details about what it is, what I said, so that I can accurately create a proposal that will be complete and show a level of quality and attention to detail that I probably couldn't have done had I not had the whole thing recorded.
Yeah. And I love just that added bonus of, because that note taker is here and I know how I'm going to use it, that I can just be fully engaged with this person and I can be in my zone of genius and ask those questions and just really, really be there. I think that is next level, just that human to human connection. Is Telegram and is Holly, are they automatically doing something with these notes? Are you how does that integrate into what Holly is doing for you? Not
yet. Holly and I only been working together for about a week, but I will get her connected to my Otter. Yeah, I mean, it's all so new, mm-hmm. But I will get her connected to my Otter. So you can imagine that, I have Otter, which is my AI note taker, dumping into Slack a notification saying new recordings here. And then I could have Holly be like, okay, got it. And she takes it and goes get the transcript, runs it through an LLM, creates a summary or creates tasks and puts them into ClickUp. That's the path that she will take soon.
Fantastic. And I hope my listeners, we're going to get to the third question in just a minute, but I hope our listeners are finding like praise the Lord moments right here, that James, as well versed as he is a week in with Holly.
Oh my goodness. And I feel a little bit behind too, because there are people that have been doing this for a while, but I have my reservations about things. So full vulnerability, I installed this thing called OpenClaw on this old company laptop that I had from 3 jobs ago that's just sitting here next to me. And I heard so many horror stories about API keys leaking and emails being sent and money being lost and privacy and all this stuff. And I was just I installed it and I closed the laptop lid and didn't do anything for months. And it was only after I was on, again, an inner circle call and people were talking about all the things that are making, okay, I'm like the guy. I need to know this. I need to figure this out. I need to take the risk. I need to be brave and go and try it out. And I know that if I don't give it too much access, then it shouldn't be doing anything dumb. It's a completely isolated computer. So again, trust. Now I'm at the point where I'm starting to trust a little bit more and give more responsibility and give more information so that the result can be a more accurate sort of facsimile of what it is to either be me or to at least be a really powerful lever that I can use.
I love this. And I love how you shared your fears about privacy and what you had heard, and that your invitation to sort of re-enter this world came from trusted sources, came from inner circle leadership, inner circle members. And so those of you who feel like communities or networking or whatever is going to die with AI, it's going to be your greatest asset, people.
No. And I feel call to say the pendulum is swinging toward authenticity and real human connection. And I feel like it's more valuable than ever. And we can doomsday and think about a world in which there are more virtual and in-person robots than us. And we're going to need to stick together. That's a whole thing too.
We might have time for that. I'm kind of excited for that conversation. So excited. So let's go ahead and top this off with sort of the final phase of most businesses, and that is we fulfill on an offer or we deliver an offer. What opportunities do you see right now in the AI world to help our online entrepreneurs maximize that element of their business?
Well, part of what we offer, most of us are in the business of transformation, identity transformation on some level. We encounter our prospects when they're like kind of at the bottom of the mountain and we want to get them to the top of the mountain. And we've been up this mountain a number of times. We've got the gear, we've got the experience, we know what to look for, right? So this is our game, this is our journey. And that can be through a product. It doesn't have to be through a coaching course. It can be through a mechanism, a book, a supplement, whatever. But that's the game that we're in. So how can we increase the success rate of the identity transformation? Well, if I were to take every person up one by one, then I would have I can respond to their specific queries. I can, leveraging the sort of Sherpa metaphor, I can, tell them how to put their pack on, what shoes to wear, how they should use their hiking, like whatever. I can give them this tailored advice, right? That's one thing, but I can't scale that. So if you can imagine that you could package all of your IP, all of your hard-fought lessons into an entity that you could interrogate, and that would scale. So you could create like a version of you, and we've done this in the past with things like custom GPTs, but it's a version, an AI thing that has all of your history, all of your foundational documents, all of your frameworks, all of your stuff, that one can take with them as they're climbing up the mountain in a different time zone on a different part of the planet without really interacting with you. Does that metaphor hold?
It's holding. Keep going.
Okay, cool. So it's basically a digital version of you. And it's really powerful. And it's especially powerful because they will not only have all of your stuff, but they'll also have the large language model stuff too, all of the intelligence that comes from all the information from the internet. So it can be more powerful than you can be on your own. So that, just imagine a super version of you that anyone can access, ask it any question and get the response, kind of filtered through you to help them on their journey 24/7.
All right. This fascinates me because my first question, don't answer it yet, is this currently possible? Because I was sitting at ClickFunnels HQ and I was sitting with Ben Moot, and he was showing me this kind of underground thing they'd been working on, right? Well, this is now public now. Sorry, Ben. Anyway, that you could basically go to a site and there is Russell's face, and you turn on your microphone and you're like, oh my gosh, Russell, like nobody is buying from my webinar. It's the worst. I had this many people like, blah, and you could just like cry to this bot, right? And then the bot would come back, Russell's voice, and would say, oh man, that is so frustrating. And then would give you 2 or 3 ideas or ask you a couple of questions. And there was this interaction back and forth as if you were doing Decade in a Day, right? With Russell, and could go back and forth. Is this the type of experience you believe is sort of the future of coaching, the future of memberships and linchpins and all of those things? And is it possible now for someone who doesn't have $100,000 to build it from scratch?
Yeah, for sure. There are specific products that are tailored towards that. Again, I think there's something magical about the human experience. There's something magical about the trust and there is a future where we are not the smartest people in the room. I think is a likely future. And I think we'll still value each other's input and experiences and, empathy more than anything else that's out there. So I do think that we'll always value that. We're just hardwired for it. It doesn't matter how smart the thing is. It's just going to be a tool. I believe that. So it's the future, but it's not a replacement. But it's enhanced. It's a super tool, right? I do think that's true.
Awesome.
One other thing, there's another thing we can do to help this identity transformation thing. Transformation happens not in one step. We don't take one step up and we land at the top of the mountain. There are a lot of different milestones along the way. There's lots of little micro transformations that need to happen. We must perform a lot of tasks and release a lot of baggage or stop a lot of habits or whatever they are. It's a transitional process that takes time. There are many steps. You can create a workflow kind of thing where you guide people through those steps with software. So what the course in the past has been, this vehicle of transformation where I'm talking to you about what you need to do in order to get this goal. And you're supposed to take it and do it. Well, there's a big gap between my mouth and your action, right? So there is. Course success rates aren't that high, generally speaking. Those who are super motivated and willing to that have enough pain or they have the motivation or whatever, they're going to have higher chances of success. Or they just believe in themselves in that mechanism. So software is event based. It's reactive. It will take an input and give output. So it can poke you or provoke you to action or guide you through a process in a way that a course that you might not have logged into for a while can't. So you can imagine you have an app on your phone that is asking you throughout the day, have you done this thing? Have you done that thing? Time to do it now, whatever. And it's a piece of software, and it could be a web app or a native app or whatever that knows the map that you're trying to get to and can help you along the process to actually accomplish all those goals and actually achieve the end result.
Oh, I love the concept of this and also the peace it will give the entrepreneur that I am doing everything possible to help them succeed, right? I'm using myself, I'm using my authenticity, and I'm using AI, and I'm using their phone, and I'm using all of these things because that's what all of us are in this for is impact, right?
Yes,
and there is nothing that makes my heart just cry and want to climb into my closet than seeing a success rate that's like below 5%, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not why we got into this. And yet that's like accepted as a norm. And I'm like, I don't want to play that game, right? I don't want to play that game. So I love that. And tell us just quickly, what platform of AI would they be using for that kind of thing? Would you stay with Claude Code, or where would you approach it?
It depends. I think Claude Code can be a bit intimidating, and there are easier on-ramps. You can get a free trial to a thing called Lovable app. There's Bolt.new, Base 64. There's a lot of these things which are just, they're web pages that you go to. You type in an address in your address bar, you go to it and you create an account, and then it's like it asks you a question and you just type and then magic happens. You didn't have to download anything. You didn't have to accept any permissions. You don't have to lose any. You're not losing anything from a security perspective. You're only gaining additional stuff. So it's really easy to do. And you're creating software that will be a web app, and then you speak it into existence, and then it is in existence, and then you can have people test it and log in, and you iterate and make it better and better, and then that's the on-ramp that I would recommend to someone who is really new to this.
Fantastic. And you'll be shocked at, I've gone to Lovable, and it's like you'll be shocked at how inexpensive it is, right? Compared to what an app development cost even just 24 months ago. So everybody, I love this. So I'm actually I didn't think I was going to do this, but it feels appropriate. I want to pull up a Facebook post of yours and ask you a question about it. So give me just a minute. Okay.
The idea of pulling up old Facebook posts is slightly triggering.
Oh, okay. This is from May 16th. It's only 4 days ago. So hopefully it's still current. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. So here is the post. You say, quote, "You can outsource thinking. You cannot outsource understanding. Talk to me.
This is super important and relevant because, there are times when I'm like wondering, is this futile? Like all of this, will we have value? Like what will our identities be in 5 years, 10 years from now? What can we do? It seems like this intelligence explosion that's possible, especially once we cross this thing that's called a singularity, and we have artificial general intelligence, and we have things that are smarter than we can ever be. It's like what do we do? That's been our thing, right? Like we've been top dog for a reason. And if we weren't, what would that be like? And so that's like the ultimate, kind of fear thing that I wrestle with pretty regularly. It can mess me up sometimes emotionally, honestly.
Sure.
But even today, it's like, okay, I can speak something into existence and create a piece of software that can keep me from having to pay for a piece of software or whatever. And that is true. So that's so should software developers exist, like all of this stuff can kind of dissolve and go away with this line of thinking. And I believe, so I've been asking myself the question of would I, as someone who is providing software, be necessary? Is there any value in me continuing down this road? Would an individual be able to just own everything and do everything? And I think the answer is they won't. I believe that a individual CEO, solopreneur, whatever, can only there's a finite amount of context, a finite amount of time, a finite amount of responsibility that they can possess for a specific thing. And you have to, if you were to create some software that solves a really complex problem, and you just bleh, and you kind of say, go for it, and you wing it, you don't really know what it's doing. So you are outsourcing the intelligence. The intelligence is doing its thing. It creates something that is battle tested, bulletproof, secure, scaled, all this stuff. But you have to understand how it's doing it and what it's doing to know if it will meet your specific preferences and values and requirements, and if it'll achieve the transformation that you want it to do. You can't fake that. That's real. And I don't believe with infinite intelligence in the form of creating anything and materializing anything, you still have to have some person who understands the problem domain and the solution domain well enough to know, yes, this is checking all the boxes that I need to check so that it can go do its thing. So that's it in a nutshell.
I love this. And this will be a conversation that we will be having nonstop as this continues to evolve. And one of the interesting elements to this quote that we read and your response is the presence of God in this. All right. And you and I are both believers. And I just want to throw this question at you of what do you think God's plan is for this? Predictions are dangerous. I get it, especially when we're talking about God's predictions, but we're going to go there anyway. James?
I'm gonna defer to something that I learned vicariously through Alma from her grandfather, who I've never met. And he gave us the ability to, it's you don't just stand in the middle of the road if a car's coming. God gave you the ability to use your mind to get out of the way and to protect yourself, save yourself. So I think that anything that is available to us is something that can be used for good. And anything that's available to us can be used for evil as well. And I don't see this as being anything different than what we have right now already from a certain lens. It is just a super computer that, if God has a problem with AI, then he has a problem with microprocessors too. he has a problem with delegation. He has a problem with leverage. And I don't think that's true. I think, we're to multiply impact with everything that's available. We just haven't had access to this before. We hadn't figured it out before. And I think that whatever the whole quantum thing is and whatever gains we can get from that, that's part of the plan too. I don't think anything's off limits. There are some people who think that this is, possibly from the enemy or not good. And I don't think so. I think it's scary to have a huge change. And I think it's us. It's all about us and our fear of change. And we can point at it. People thought that TV was the devil. People thought the internet was the devil. Everything that has been transformational along in our lifetime, and we've seen a lot of stuff in our lifetime that's been changed, right? But people have feared it and thought that it wasn't good. And I don't think that anything is inherently good or evil like this. It is what we do with it. If you take the internet and you create OnlyFans, that's a problem. You're reducing the value of the quality of life on the planet for a lot of people. On both sides of that equation, both sides of the camera, they're worse off as a result of that thing. But there's also, a million ways to be good on the internet too, right? So I think it's sort of what you make of it.
I love this so much that I think you and I share the belief that this whole evolution of AI is not a surprise to God. He's not surprised. He's not behind. He's not like, oh, what are we going to do? Right? Like he has seen this from the very beginning, and he continues to be concerned about one thing only, and that is us. Right?
Yeah, I think if anything, he's excited about we finally figured this part out. Right. Imagine all the other things that he knows that we haven't figured out yet. He's just like, proud papa, like, oh, they're getting it. Oh, boom, they're getting another war. Okay, well, maybe next decade they'll get it. Oh, they're getting it.
It's true. And I do believe God is an optimist, right? And there's a whole discussion we could have about that. But it's fascinating that often our initial approach to AI is really what you talked about at the very beginning of this conversation. And that is, oh my gosh, can I work less? Oh my gosh, is that what that means? Right. And like as a mom of four, I'm like, oh, that's really attractive to me. Right. But I love what you have said about how can this be an amplifier to what you are called to do, right? How can we fight with light? How can we fight with good? How can we better deliver on the things that we say? How can we help more people be successful in what they feel called to do? Like that is a train I want to jump on, James. That is where this is going.
I totally agree. And I don't think it's different from anything else that we've been doing. When I found the Russell Brunson funnel hacker ClickFunnels community and saw all of these good-looking people on stage making millions, making impact, with high ethical and moral values, I was like, what is this? I had all kinds of wrong beliefs about what wealthy people were doing, how they achieved their wealth. I think a lot of people who don't have it, who haven't shouldered the burden of responsibility for someone else's transformation, think that it's kind of like, oh, you have money, you must have gotten that through some evil means. And I think there are people who have, but it's possible to do it through good ways too. And we're of this community that is doing it to make an impact, and is saying no to certain modalities of delivery and marketing and sales. There are certain things that we won't do so that we aren't going to be hurting anyone. We can only be helping everyone that we can. And we won't actually help everyone, which sucks because people will fall off and all that. But like we're doing the best we can with what we have. And, the billionaire guy who, the one person billionaire company that sold it through the weight loss injection stuff or the powders or whatever. He's an example of someone who took advantage of a situation and scaled it and leveraged AI to do that. So there's your case study for, is it possible to achieve more with AI? Yes, it definitely is. But, it's what's the cost, and I just, we're of the belief that we can make an impact with morals and ethics and service. And this is a way to do that on a bigger scale again, more messages and more channels than you ever could have accomplished before.
Incredible. Amen. 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 And I am going to be so controversial and change your quote even, where we talked about how you can outsource intelligence, right? But you cannot outsource understanding. It almost makes me think that you can continue to outsource intelligence, but you cannot outsource discernment. And that is going to be our superpower moving forward. Go ahead.
For sure. I totally agree. And that is encapsulated in the understanding, I think, or it's corollary to that. I think responsibility, it's another thing you can't outsource.
Yes. Yes. And aren't we so glad that people like you and the community that you serve and that you are a part of are committed to that higher ground and are committed to that responsibility and those ethics, because that's where we need to band together to make sure that we take AI in a place that, as God-fearing people, will share his message and his calling with those here on earth. So I'm so filled, James. You have continued to over-deliver. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I love when we talk, and maybe there's a space for a third visit. Let's do it.
Let's do it. You will be the first three-peat guest at that point. That sounds amazing. So I just want to ask a couple of rapid fire questions as we wrap this up in our traditional format here. So are you ready?
Yep.
Beautiful. I'm going to change one of them because we're flying by the seat of our pants today. My first one will be easy. So what is one book that has changed your life? And it can't be any part of the Expert Secrets trilogy, and it can't be the Bible. Because that's cheating.
Total curveball for anything we talked about. There's a book called Way of the Superior Man by a man named David Data. And it is about masculine and feminine polarity and being a responsible, courageous man. And there's a whole... My generation in particular had a lot of weak men leading it. And I didn't get this is a manual or a handbook that I needed. And it's transformed my marriage and the way that I show up as a man in a lot of different ways.
I love it. We will link it below for any of you that are interested in diving into that as well. My second question is in a world when we are no longer the most intelligent species, I put that in quotes for those of you listening, not watching, on Earth, what do you think will be the most valuable skill set?
Man, my first answer was empathy and human connection. The second answer was the ability to leverage the super intelligence to scale and impact. And I don't think either of those are wrong. So I'm going to answer with both.
That is allowed. That is allowed. We break all the rules here. I love it. All right. And then your last question is just much more human in nature, right? I know your dear wife. I love her. And as you guys fast forward and you are approaching the end of your life, what is your hope on what Alma says it was like to be married to you?
He served with all his heart.
Oh, you're like already doing that. You're primed.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. And for those of you who are new to James's world, you will find ways in which you can connect with him down in the show notes. And I would highly, highly encourage you, whether you are integrating AI or not, to be in his world in some way, just because of the human that he is. So that is my call to action for all of you listeners here. So again, a huge thank you, my dear friend, James. Thank you for being here a second time and for bringing to light ways in which we can grow our impact using this wild, crazy thing we call AI. Thanks again so much for being here.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. If you loved this episode, my guests and I would love to hear about it. Go to the show notes to reach out and let me know what resonated with you or what topics or guests you want to hear in the future. I am here to create for you. Look, I deeply admire your commitment to pushing boundaries and going after an unreasonable life. Keep dreaming big, taking bold steps, and expecting the unreasonable. For more, go to the show notes to dive deeper into the conversations that will keep you going. Thanks for being here.